Greetings everyone, my name is Simon Okelo with One Vibe Africa, and this is Diaspora Connect on One Vibe TV. I'm sitting here with my brother Draze,
yes,
the original, and I'm super excited that you created time to come from LA. Now you're based in LA.
Yeah.
To Seattle for Africa Day celebration at the Gates Foundation. Man, there's so much that I want to talk to you about because I feel that our story began in like 2013.
Yeah.
The year before the first Madaraka Festival in Seattle, which you are instrumental in helping make possible.
Yeah.
And you are a respected figure in Seattle, and you're also a respected dad. You have a father figure to a beautiful family.
Yeah.
And so I just want you to know that I appreciate you and the work you're doing in the community, artistically, and it's a privilege and honor to sit down with you.
Thank you, man.
Yeah, man.
Appreciate it.
Yeah,
I
man.
appreciate the love, just the energy that you continually give off. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so to be able to have that connection with somebody like you is a good look. So.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Man, so during this Africa Day celebration, Diaspora Connect series, we are talking about the 4 success, stories in respect to the African continent.
Yep.
The African Union has been pushing the connection between Africa and the diaspora, and One Vibe is really getting into these conversations. So earlier, before the recording, we briefly talked about 4 of those elements. And in just summary, what was 2008 like for you artistically, and what do you think it was like for Africa?
Artistically, for me, I'll go the opposite way. So for Africa, I think 2018 was boom. It was like, actually, I would say like a match that just got struck. Right. It's like Africa is starting to strike it. So you have the Black Panther soundtrack, right? That coming out, and all of the African influences that were a part of that. And then after that, Afrobeat goes through the world. For example, goes through the roof. I'm in LA.
Right.
And black and brown clubs and culture in America, when you see something happening, you know it is going to come to the world soon. Yeah. So as an example, right now in LA, at most of the hip hop clubs, on a Friday night, they might have hip hop, but on Saturday it's Afrobeat. So what's that telling you? If clubs in the middle of LA, which is one of the meccas in America of hip hop and urban culture, if LA is starting to say on a Saturday night, which is a money night, Friday, Saturday are money, we're gonna put Afrobeat here, you know it's coming. So 2018 is a huge part of that. The interest in African music is starting to happen. So I could go on forever with that. That's what I say for Africa as a whole. For me, I created my new album. So I've got a new album coming out called African American. No one knows that. This is the first time people are hearing the title. So
thank you. It's an honor.
Yeah, African American, and it's all with this album. My belief is the way forward is back. I love Afrobeat music, but I think Africa has so much to offer, depending on the region. And so for me, the way forward is back. My sound, I'm calling it ancestral art because I'm taking traditional Zimbabwean music and fusing that together with hip hop rather than just Afrobeat. So it's traditional music. You're gonna hear marimbas and beatas, the music I grew up on, traditional music, fusing that together with today to create something different. So for me, 2018 birthed a new sound, ancestral art.
Man, and just talking of backward, forward, like the ancient future.
Yeah, right.
So you come from a family that is musically rich, and your family is the foundation of African music in the Pacific Northwest, and I think to a certain extent, the Americas, North America. Can you just take us through the journey of how your family ended up settling in Seattle, and where how, and then how you became an artist?
So my father traveled here to America in the early 70s. I think might have been late 60s too, like 69, 70. Right, my father traveled here. my mother was still in Zimbabwe at the time, and then my mom essentially, got my dad to send for her, right, through some relational components, and he found a family over here to eventually sponsor her to come to America. So my mother came here, and then in time, my dad just created a movement. Dumisani Abraham Arare Sr., R.I.P. to the great, right? And he created a movement of marimba bands and Mbita music that is still prevalent here to this day. If you come to Seattle, Washington, as a kid, my earliest memories, I remember going to packed out halls, University of Washington, all these different places, and they have these packed out halls. And my dad's on stage sweating, you know what I mean, playing marimbas and just performing for a packed hall. And these are truly my youngest memories. I grew up around this music. And so, interestingly enough, there's a woman here from Zimbabwe that I recently met, and she was saying she was looking for a job, right? She was like, I'm here, I'm looking for a job, can you help me? And I was like, you're in the Northwest, you're good. Seattle's been good to us, right? It loves us, right? Africans as a whole, in particular the Zimbabwean southern region of Africa, it's embraced my family. And so this is a place of joy. My parents came here, they planted roots. Now across the country, my father is universally recognized as the father of Zimbabwean marimba and Mbita music in America, right? The person who actually brought it here. And then he went on to create music around the world. He's traveled the world, performing in his group, in the Mananzi group, and then I performed in my mother's group, Sukutai, as a child. We traveled the world. We've opened up for Janet Jackson, Miles Davis, right across the street here, Miles Davis. We opened up for Janet Jackson at the Gorge. We've traveled
with your dad's band.
With my mom and my dad's different ones. With my mom's band, we went to the Gorge, and there with my dad's band, it's everywhere, right? And then we've traveled everywhere, Europe, Africa, America, Asia. We've traveled the world performing marimbas, mbitas, just traditional music. So for me, this is rich. This is something that's been a part of me, even here in the hood. So I grew up in Seattle in the hood, but we were always the kids that everybody was like, yo, they do that African stuff. Yo, that's dope, right? You know what I'm saying? Yo, y'all on some different, right? So I grew up in this world. But I also remembered, like, if we're speaking honestly, this is one vibe, right? We're speaking honestly, right? I also remember going to school because as a child, my mom sent me back to Zimbabwe to live. She wanted me to know where I was from and my culture, so I went to live there, and I did the first grade there, and then when I got back over here, I had an accent. And I remember going to class and the kids being brutal to me. You know what I mean? The kids here in Seattle, right? The kids. I remember talking to African American kids and saying to them, you're from Africa too, as a kid. And they're like, I'm not from Africa. Right? Yo, I think we got to take a break.
Yeah, we'll take a break. We'll take a break and come right back.
We'll get back to it.
I'm here with my brother Draze, who just killed it at Africa Day celebration at the Gates Foundation. This is the second year that we are curating this event at the Gates Foundation, and it's really an honor to work with you. And you know, before I've seen your performances at the EMP Museum just across the street, more pop, and the stage is higher and it's not intimate like it was today. And you know, I just appreciate you for the gift of music, man.
Thanks, man. I actually I have a healthy love and respect for both environments. Like, I love the museum over there. It's big though. It's like, you know, it's more big room. I love intimate spaces though, because you can really talk to people and connect with them and stuff like that. So.
Man, so earlier before we got interrupted, you know, we talked about, you know, the history of, you know, how your family impacted music, traditional African music in the Pacific Northwest. But now I just wanted you to walk me through the history of hip hop in Seattle. Okay. You know, just for the last decade.
Wow. Oh man. Hip hop in Seattle is just, I guess I would have to say, like, it's an interesting dynamic. There's so much here. People often ask about what's the Seattle sound, right? And what comes to mind universally around the world is Macklemore, right? That's what somebody's going to think. And he actually echoes a lot of the sound. But what I think Seattle hip hop is all about is real music, right? The one thing you listen to, whether it's Shabazz Palaces or like a Macklemore, a Draze, a Yidam, there's so many artists here. Seattle's always been about embracing cultures, right? And embracing difference in cultures. So you hear live music, you hear horns, Owarunga, you hear real drums. It's if you were to go to the Seattle hip hop scene and go out one night, you would hear real music, right? And so it's not just break beats and DJs. You're gonna have that, but Seattle's more authentic, right? It's not like LA. They might be crip walking and banging, but out here we're embracing real music. That's what it's about. Soul, real music.
Man, I went to Jason's house where you rehearsed some time for a jam session, and there were like 30 musicians, and all of them were talented. And that's the first time that I really interacted with how rich Seattle is musically.
Yep.
Jason was joking that there's an excessive supply of good musicians in Seattle. Man, so you're working on an album at the moment.
New album, African American, ancestral art, right? So it's traditional African music fused together with hip hop.
Yeah.
That's what we're doing.
So then what's the plan? What's the strategy? Are you planning to tour Africa, or you just want to focus on the US market? Tell us a little bit of what people should expect in relation to the album.
We're going to start with a couple of music videos and hit those kind of hard, right? Because it's a world where you have to get it out. There's a whole viral component, but from a tour perspective, I'm going to Africa, right? So I have to hit everywhere. I'm going to hit Zimbabwe. I'm going to hit South Africa. We've already been talking about, I got to be at Madaraka out there in Africa with Kenya, right? We're going to Kenya together, right? So I got to go there. I got to go that whole region, Tanzania. There's a ton of African artists on the album that are pretty major in Africa. I can't really unveil who's on it right now. So people to get it. Nigeria, we're going to hit that. We got to hit Ghana. I want to hit the continent. I want to go to Ethiopia. I got to go to Ethiopia. You know what I mean? So,
Excellent. So just in closing, what is it that I haven't asked you that you want people to hear?
I don't know. I mean, we good. The album's coming. That's it, you know what I mean? Listen to the music. That's for me. It's really about get into the music and embrace the music and give it a shot. You know what I mean?
Yeah, man.
Yo, I need y'all to make sure you subscribe to One Vibe TV. It's your boy Draze. Over and out. Let's get it.
Excellent. Thank you. Peace.